Hello and welcome back to SotonLock. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. What I want to talk to you today about is this TIC-TAC bag or bookies bag. First of all, let's get any disclosures out of the way. While I'm not being paid or sponsored by anybody, a big thank you goes out to the boys from my local locksmith company called the Chroma Security Solutions. They have helped me in the past with blank keys and much advice, so I do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. This video is broken down to two parts. The first part deals with the social history behind this TIC-TAC bag, and the second part deals more with the mechanics inside the bag. While I enjoy lockpicking and decoding combination locks, I find one of the most interesting sidelines of lock sports are locks that have a social history. And nothing exemplifies this more than this clock bag, or more specifically the TIC-TAC bag, which is also known as the bookies runner bag. The information I place before you has been gathered from the internet, so if you are an historian and you know that I have my facts wrong, then please don't hesitate to let me know in the comments section below. Prior to 1853, it was legal for all of the English classes, right from the aristocracy and a landed gentleman, all the way down to the lower class and working classes, to gamble on the outcome of a horse race. This could be done in person at a local bookmaker or at the racecourse bookmaker. A bookmaker, or as they are known in America as turf accountants, can be defined as a person who takes bets, calculates the odds, and pays out the winning on a horse race. While bookmakers could be found at the racecourse, I suspect that the admission charged at the race courses were so high as to effectively preclude the lower classes from entry and placing their bets there. To overcome this problem, a local bookmaker might set up his business in their own homes, taverns or social clubs. Therefore, the only way that you could place a bet in those times would be to go and visit a bookmaker. To broaden their markets, bookmakers would employ runners. These runners would visit large groups of people, all gathered in one location, like pubs or other clubs or even places of work, and take bets and stakes from the punters. The runner would then take these bets and takings back to the bookmaker, and once the races were over, the runner would return with the winnings. Due to a multiple of social reasons, it was felt by the authorities that the lower classes should not be allowed to gamble. In an attempt to stop the lower classes from betting on horses, an act in 1853 made it illegal to become a bookmaker unless it was at a racecourse. This, of course, allowed the upper classes to continue betting on horse races, but effectively stopped the lower classes from doing the same. This ban didn't stop the lower classes from betting, though. It just drove it underground. Therefore, betting among the lower classes became more clandestine. For example, names on betting slips were changed to nicknames to remove traceability, and the majority of bookmakers moved back to working from home. Police raids on suspected bookmakers, bribery of the local police to get notification of impending raids, and arrests of runners all became more popular during these times. During these more precarious times, a runner could earn up to 10% of the takings. I assume that the runners found ways to make extra income by defrauding the bookmakers or punters. Why else would Henry Birtwistle patent in 1923 improvements in apparatus for registering the time of opening or closing of receptacles for tickets and the like? Doesn't that just roll off a tongue? This bookies runner bag before you is more akin to Birtwistle patent from 1926, and from that year you can see a newspaper advert for the same device. It's interesting to note that the betting bag cost an extravagant £4, which roughly works out to be £306 in today's money as of June 2024. This particular bag and watch is badged by the Richmond Time Recording Company, and judging from the two shilling coins found in this bag, it was last used in 1949. However, it could have been used right up to 1960, which, after a period of 106 years, was the date that bookies were legally allowed to trade again. I would like to thank Mr. E-Type for giving me the opportunity to restore this bag to a working condition. The watch didn't work, and the key and rivets for the front cover were missing. So I had to take a blank and hand file down this key, which was quite a feat, because the gap between each lever was just about the thickness of my hand file, so I was pleased to get a working key. I'd also like to thank my old working mate, Mr. Alan T, for assisting me with the riveting, and I still need to restore the leather, but I'm still looking at the best ways to do that. Hello and welcome back. Right, I'll set everything up. This bookie bag basically consists of two sections. So the lower section allows the bets to be placed, or the betting slips to be placed inside this leather bag. Whether the money was placed in the bag as well, I've no idea. So that's basically what it does. One interesting thing to note are all these holes that are drilled around the lower section and the protrusions on the top section. At first, I thought this was built to give it some kind of rigidity. It obviously does give it extra rigidity, but what it's primarily there for is to prevent any betting slips being placed in between the two sections after the race has started. So that's what it was for. The top section is far more interesting. So as I say, I had to cut a key for this. This is a 7-lever lock. Tried my patience, as I say, because I filed that key down to that. So inside here we have the lid and the base. Let's start on the lid. The lid, there's your 7-lever lock. And then we get to this very interesting piece. Now, I had no idea what this was for. It doesn't seem to block the keyway, and it just slides in there and locks into place. As I say, no idea what it was for. So the main part of this is very simple. This is a spring-loaded bolt, and when the bolt moves to the left, it closes the lower section, so no more bets can be placed. To move that bolt to the left, we lift up this pin, and as you can see, the bolt has travelled to the left, and now the lower section is locked in place. Coupled with that bolt is integral to the operation of this. This is the watch that sits into this area here, and when the bolt is thrown, it does one of two things. It can either stop the watch, and depending on the orientation of the clock, it can either start the watch by throwing its arm. So that's basically how the bookmaker knows that the bag was locked before the first race of the day started. What I try and do now is I should try and go through the procedure of that the bookie and the bookie runner would do on a race day. So let me set that up and I'll get back to you. So here we are at the bookie's office on race day. The first thing that the bookie would do would he would wind his watch up, make sure it was running, and then he would open up the bookie's bag. He would set the bolt, and he would place the watch into the bag. As I say, depending on the orientation of the watch, would dictate whether the watch stopped when the pin was pulled or whether the watch would start. Either way, the bookie, when it came back from the runner, would know that the bag was sealed by the time the race started. So I've now since found out by reading the patent what this was for. So before the bag was shut, a piece of paper would be placed in here. So we effectively now got a paper seal. So the bookie would lock the bag up. Place a paper seal into the slot. I'm not actually going to do that because I don't want to break the paper seal and get paper inside the locking mechanism. So I'm going to remove the paper seal. It clicks into place, and then so we're now locked, but we are able to get into the lower section, and you can see that the clock or the watch is visible through this celluloid screen. So then the bookie's runner would then go to the clubs, the pubs, to places of work, and gather the bets and put the bets into this bag. So he would come along, he would close the bag, and he would pull this pin, which would fire that bolt across and lock the lower section. Now, I'm not going to do this because that spring on that bolt is incredibly strong. I've just had the watch repaired, and I really don't want to ruin the watch. So I'm just going to take the watch out when we fire the bolt. So as I say, the bookie's runner, before the first race of the day is due, would fire that bolt. Now the bag is sealed, and the runner would then bring this back to the bookie. Obviously, the bookie would check the paper seal to make sure it was intact. He would open up the bag, and then he would take the watch out. Take the watch out from here and make sure that the watch is stopped at a time before the first race. And then he would throw the bolt, giving him access to all the bets and possibly the money, and then calculate the odds, the winnings, and give the bets or the winnings back to the bookie runner, who would then take them to the appropriate winners. So thank you very much for watching. If you like to see similar content about the social history of some locks, then please let me know in the comments below, and please don't forget to hit that like button, and that's all I've got time for you today. Thank you very much.